We're going to go back to good old 1996. August 14th, I was born in Arlington, Texas. Go Cowboys. So I lived there for about a year until about one. My parents moved to Lawrence, Kansas, which when I moved there, I became a Kansas Jayhawk fan. My parents were, they were happy in the beginning, and then about the age of 4 or 5, my parents got a divorce. Of course, at the age of 4 and 5, I didn't know what a divorce was, so one morning I woke up by the sound of my parents kind of just arguing. I walked out to the living room, little 4 or 5-year-old me looking up, not down the train right now, so I go and I see my father putting on his uniform boots, because he was a police officer in Lawrence, Kansas, and I just remember him standing there, all of his bags were packed around, and my mom didn't even see me, and I asked, "Where's Dad going?" And they both turned around and looked at me, and they were both shocked, like, "Oh no, he woke up." So I'm standing there just like clueless, and my father, has his uniform on, he's grabbing all of his gear, and he looks at me and he says, "Right now you're saying." So I'm standing there like, why am I going to be the man of the house? Aren't you the man of the house? Because that's what you would always tell me. So for some time that affected me over a while. Like I didn't see my dad as often. Like I was used to coming home after school and seeing him there, and it kind of paid a toll on me to where growing up, I was this outgoing kid. I loved acting, I loved music, athletics, it's still a big part of my life. And of course, over time, I became the shy kid, got picked on a little bit, but over time, I just embraced it, and I just said, you know what, everything's gonna be okay. And of course, at this time, we didn't have a stable religion. We were just, in and out of different churches, Catholic, Christian, Baptist, other Baptists, all kind of different ones. And by the 3rd grade, my mom had signed me up for a daycare center because something went on with the court where I could not see my dad at all. So, of course, my dad was still my hero. He did whatever he could to be involved in my life. Eventually, after some time, I remember walking out after class one day, and there's my dad, and we would always, after class, like every Monday, Wednesday, I would go with him to the bowling alley. We'd go and get donuts, we'd go hang out, and the daycare center had some transportation pickup after school program thing. And I walked out to go see my dad, and 2 of the employee ladies had come up to me and said, "You can't go with your father." And of course, me being in the 3rd grade, I was like, "Why can't I go with him?" And they're like, "Well, because you just can't." So I ended up having to go with them, and I watched my father start crying, getting in his car, driving away, and that was the most upsetting point in that time. And about mid-October, my mother had come up to me and said, "We're moving." And I was like, I had all of my friends here, I didn't want to leave, I called this town my home, and she's like, "We're moving back to my hometown, Colorado." And I was like, "I don't know where that's at, I don't care." So next thing I know, my father gave me word that he's moving to Phoenix, Arizona. And that's where he is originally from, so it was like, okay, well, I don't know how to cope with this. So then we moved, and we come into Holly, Colorado, and there are no street lights. There's no Walmart, there's no bowling alley. The movie theater barely holds, if maybe 85 people. We have one grocery store that consists of 3 aisles, and that was it. I go into my class, and this was on Halloween Day, so I was Indiana Jones, and none of these kids knew who I was. So, they're like, "Well, who are you?" I was like, "I'm Indiana Jones." No, what's your real name? So I told them my real name, and of course, I made quick friends right off of that. And then the following day, I started getting bullied like that. It was just right as I set foot in that classroom, I was getting bullied. I was getting picked on, name calling. Surprisingly, I didn't get a swirly a few times. I was beat up a few times on the playground, and I was just that kid that got picked on a lot. Me and my other 2 siblings being the only Native Americans in a Mexican-American school, that was kind of difficult. I really didn't have anyone to connect with. Back in Lawrence, there's Haskell Indian Nations. The basketball team knows about how much I hate them, and it's just there's a lot of Native Americans, so I was able to connect with a lot of them. But now, it's just I was there. I was like, I don't know how to make friends. I don't know what to do. I was on the max, probably saying a maximum of 30 to 50 words a day. That's including if my teachers asked me a question. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just lay low. I'll just I won't care about it. In the 5th grade, I was finally able to play tackle football. My dad played football in high school, and I was like, I'll give that a shot. So I figured, a bunch of the bullies who were playing football, I figured I'd beat up on them that way. So that was a good way of releasing anger. So athletics definitely was a way for me to express my feelings and who I was. So football, basketball, wrestling definitely became a big part of my life. And eventually over time, elementary school went by, and they finally done with that, into junior high, back at the bottom of the food chain. So I got picked on again when I entered in junior high, and then again, athletics was a big voice for me. Varsity football, varsity basketball, varsity wrestling team, and varsity track. So I was really excited and excelled in that. Made a lot of friends and gained popularity that way, to where the bullying kind of started to go down. 8th grade year, I was finally introduced to a youth group, Veronica and Joel Jacoby, who are still very big influences in my life today. I went to their youth group, and of course, they helped me find Christ, which was just like something that I really wanted. Finally, 8th grade year ended, getting ready to go into high school. I wanted a basketball camp that was just going to help me get better. So my stepmom's looking on the internet, where are we going to, what's a good camp for you? And I looked at, she looked up one called The Greatness. It's run by Wayne Simeon. He was at KU for about 3-4 years. During there, he was an All-American, went to the NBA, played for the Miami Heat, won the 2006 World Championship with them. And, I wanted to go there because it was a Christian basketball camp. So I went there, and once I got involved in it, Wayne, helped me transform spiritually. He helped me, build a relationship with Christ. And right then and there, I said, I want to live a life for Christ. So I had gone back to Colorado. I was baptized. Then we went to Heaven Fest. I don't know if any of you know what Heaven Fest is, but it's held in Colorado. And it is like the most awesome concert of all time. I would suggest going to it. I mean, it's definitely life-changing. And so when I had gone to Colorado, when we got to Heaven Fest, more the Jesus feeling was in me. I wanted God more and more and more. And went to church the next day at some random church in Colorado Springs. It was very charismatic. It's about as charismatic as Adam is when we're doing worship. And I mean, what I mean by that is there was a 50-year-old woman up there with 2 flags going nuts. I mean, I was a little scared. And I was like, who knows? So the pastor prayed over us. I had completely just been compelled, I want to live a life for Christ. So I dedicated myself that way, Every year, before every school year, I'd write down goals. And so I wrote down a goal, live a life for Christ my freshman year. So freshman year, bottom of the food chain again. Got picked on a few times, but a couple of seniors on the football team stuck up for me, so I was a little out of the bullying area now, so I was a little happy about that. And then, I lived the life for Christ kid. Of course, I was still shy, I wasn't as outgoing. And then by the ending of my freshman year, I was invited to a graduation party, and I got a little taste of what the world had to offer. I had a few drinks, and I went home, and yelled at pretty bad. So that is when I kind of got introduced to what the world had to offer. My sophomore year, same goal, wrote it down, called The Greatness again, transformed again. And my sophomore year, I did a little bit better. Again, and then during the summer of ending of my sophomore, going into junior, got involved in more parties, and was just I had this party high. I was yeah, I like this stuff. This is cool. And I ended up finding myself, this isn't me. So then I got involved with my youth group again, and went to church, went to Call the Greatness again, and I just said, I need to live a life for Christ. This is ridiculous. I got to stop falling off the path. And my junior year, I wrote down the same goal. I was helping people find Christ in my local school, outside of school, and then midway through my junior year, I got caught up in the party life again. I was, with women. I was, trying to just have as much fun as I could, just what this world had to offer just completely exploded. I was I want to have fun that way. And then we're about 3 days before a district basketball game. I was in a car accident where I should not even be alive today. I was driving home from youth group, and I dropped my Gatorade on my newly cleaned car and fishtailed on a newly laid gravel road, and I nosedived onto a metal fence post. And once it was over with, I remember getting out of my car, like I just was so shocked by it happening. My brother was okay. The state trooper had then come over to me. He's like, "You are the luckiest man alive that I know." And I said, "Why is that?" He's like, "Well, do you see that big old hole right there that's in your windshield?" He said, "If that would not have held together, your head would have been completely, just gone." So, I mean, that was a wake-up call in my life, And of course, at that time, like, my religion was like, eh. So, like, I sat there that night and I questioned my existence. I was like, why am I alive? I should be dead. Why does God still have me here? Like, I just don't get it. And so, of course, like, it was a wake-up call, and I just was like on and off about my religion. Like, I don't know why He spared me. So then summer came. I went to Call the Greatness once again and transformed again. Kind of just built my relationship with Christ again. And then my senior year, I wrote the same goal last year in high school. I wrote down as many goals as I could. Be an A+ student. Live a life in Christ, which was the first one again. Win a state championship in basketball. Go to state track. Just all those goals that you want to end your good old high school career on. So I had done that, and about midway through, I began to find myself not going to church, and I cut youth group out of my life. I just didn't want to go anymore. When I had about November is when I just kind of stopped. Just like being around my family. Like, I neglected my family. I was just like school, basketball gym, my room, bathroom. That was it. And like, I just didn't want to be near my family. Like, I wanted my own self. Like, I wanted my own time. So I felt like, I might as well just pave my own road. I might as well just, like, I always dreamed about playing college basketball and all this and all that. I wanted to live a life, and I was like, I'm just going to pave my own road. Forget about what God has in store for me. November hit, then December. December was definitely the downfall of my life. Parties, women, alcohol definitely destroyed me. I completely hit rock bottom. I was just, every time I go to a party, I would wake up the next day like, why did I do that? Every time that I was with a woman, I would just wake up. I would just, wake up that next day, and I would just be devout, like just crushed. It felt like, a sandbag was placed on my shoulders, like a heavy burden, and I just didn't want any more of it. I was completely just ruined, and I didn't know how to respond to it. I was completely lost. And people go to church. It's like, I'm not going to church. God did nothing for me in the beginning. What is He going to do for me now? I was just completely lost. I was completely in pain. I hated who I was, and I neglected my family. My mom literally called me out on it. She's like, why are you doing this? What have you become? I don't know who you are anymore. And I was like, well, I'm me, so accept it. And then I recall one day I was done with basketball practice. I had gone downstairs to my room. And my little brother Marcus, he's 4. He's born my freshman year. We had a pretty good relationship, and he came down one night, and I just had a bad day at school, a bad day at practice, and he came in my room, and he always had that the biggest smile on his face, like, brother, want to play? And I just looked at him with this really angry look, and I just told him to get out of here. I never wish you were born. Get out of my face. I don't want you ever near me. His face went from a smile to a completely just destructive face. I had never seen him have that face like that in my life. That is when I knew I had become something totally different, and I just hated who I was. So then, of course, hating who I was, the life of just drinking and had continued to go on. I recall just like that night after my brother had walked upstairs, and I just locked myself in my room. I can't remember what it was. I had alcohol next to me, and I had painkillers, and I was just, crushed up painkillers inside the alcohol, and I was drinking it to try and take away all the pain that I had. And, I just laid there thinking, when is God going to, transform my life? I'm tired of the way I'm living. I want a renewal. And went to bed that night. I woke up the next day, and my buddy came up to me. He's like, "Hey man, just go to church." And I was like, "It's not going to do anything. Just go to church. Just do it." So I was like, "Okay, whatever." So the weekend came. Saturday came. I went to a party. Came back, and I was just like, "Okay, cool." My mom walked in my room at 1 a.m. and said, "You're going to church with us tomorrow." And I was like, "I'm not going. You're not making me." committee. So our church session didn't start till 10:45. She came in at 7:30 in the morning and woke me up. And she's like, go sit in the living room and wait until, we go to church. And it was like, are you serious? She's like, or you can sleep outside tonight. So I was just like, okay, well, I might as well go to church then. So I went to church, and I just sat there and had my Bible. I was just fiddling through it, and my pastor, Ralph Plummer, dear friend of mine, just stopped. He just stopped his sermon, what he was saying, and he placed his hands, just like at his sides, and he was just like, I don't feel like I should be talking about that today. I feel like I just feel like there's someone in here that needs help, that fell off the path that wants to get back on, and they're just so, they're destroyed and they don't know how to fix it. And I was like, that's me, but he's probably not talking about me. There's no way I can get it. I went home that night, went to bed, I was like, there's no way that Pastor Ralph was talking about me. So then I went to bed, Monday came, went to bed again, I couldn't sleep, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch some Vince Carter videos. So I pulled up YouTube, and I had subscribed to I Am Second my freshman year in high school, so it was like, right as I got ready to type in the search bar, this I Am Second video of Brian Walsh, who is a guitarist for a band, Korn. They're really out there kind of people, and so I was like, I'll watch that. So I opened it up, and he was just talking about his testimony about his life. He was addicted to crystal meth, the party life, he had an all-time high being, part of rock band, people worshiping him, loving his music, and he had a daughter, and his wife had died to crystal meth addiction, and he didn't want to die because he just, and all that stuff. He had a daughter, and he didn't want to let her be on her own. And, he pretty much was just like, his real estate broker came up to him and was like, hey, have this Bible verse for you, go to church, and I'm like, all right, I'll read it. So he read the Bible verse, Matthew 11:28, for all who are weary and burdened, come to me and I will give you rest. And so that stuck out to me in the video, and I was like, almost a connection had happened, and he was just like, I picked up a dictionary and I just tore apart each word, just trying to figure out what this verse really was meaning. And I was like, this sounds like where I'm at. I'm involved in this lifestyle that I don't want to be a part of, and this is something that's really been helping me. So then I was like, okay, next video. So I go to the next video, and it's Tristan Nelson. He's a pro skater in the 90s. And he had the same exact testimony as Brian Walsh, party life, famous, had the women, the drugs, the money, the alcohol. He just had everything that the world had to offer. And he's like, let me put it to you this way. We are a bucket full of holes. No matter how much water from the world we pour into us, it's just going to drain out to where we just want more and more and more and more. When in all reality, God can patch up those holes, fill you with His water, and you can live a life of happiness, peace, and joy. And I was like, that sounds really good, I want that. So he continued to talk about it, and he was like, how he connected with Christ. He read Kings and the Bible, and he was just like, reading about how King David told his son Solomon to live a life for Christ, and he would be blessed all of his days. That was just like another compelling moment, and he transformed and lived a life for Christ. So, I need a life like that. So then I had gone to youth group that week. My English teacher, or my math teacher, had run a youth group, and she prayed for me that a door would be opened. And Thursday had come along, and I figured, I'm not getting any recruits from anyone else, or else I might as well just go to the Army. Of course, I come from a military family that, just was all about the military. So, I filled out the entire form for the Army, and right before I clicked submit, something compelled me not to do it. So I clicked X on it, shut off my laptop, and I went to PE, and I stopped at the stairs. I was like, what did I just do? And I was like, that's not me. I was just going to sign up, but why didn't I stop? So then I go home that night, and I prayed to God. I was like, open the door for me right now. I need it just as bad. And Coach Williams called me, and of course, some months before that, he called me. I was like, no, I don't know what Grace University is. What is that? Who wants to go there? It's Grace. Come on. Do I really want to go there? And Coach Williams was just like, the offer's still up. Do you still want to come? And I figured, that's a sign from God. That's my door. So I said yes. And my family was proud of me. Everyone was happy for me, and I just really I was really happy to have Christ back in my life and just really transformed and, I was just really happy, just as a person, I got away from the lifestyle and stuff like that, and temptation and stuff like that still hits me today, but I'm doing my absolute best with Christ and with people to help me out, get over that. So summertime came, and I shared this exact same story at Called to Greatness. They actually hired me as a coach. Changed a few lives there. A little seventh grader came up to me and he's like, that was a really moving testimony you had to give. I was like, you're a seventh grader. How's it going to move you? He's like, well, I came from a divorced home. And, this definitely is helping me see, the brighter picture. And I was like, well, you're welcome. I didn't know it would impact you so much. And this woman, probably in her 50s, was a foster mom. She would come up to me. She kind of had, tears in her eyes. And, I just talked to her and I was like, it's like, so what's wrong? Is everything okay? And she's just like, your testimony is something I've been needing to hear for 20 years. It's just, she's like, I went through that, when I was in college and in high school, and it really tore me down as a person, and I was like, I just didn't know how much, the power of words and work. And so then I came to Grace, paid a visit. It was like a second home to me right as I stepped foot on campus, just like, this is where I'm meant to be. And eventually over time, went back home to Colorado, packed up things, saw my great-grandfather Wallace, who was an impact in my life. He's a hero, served in the Korean War. Definitely was always motivating me to do better in school, and just kind of held me accountable. So I saw him, and he just really helped me. I was just excited when I told him about what was going on in my life. And he just said, follow the Lord all your days. That's all I got to tell you. And I was like, all right. So I come to good old, on my way, we stop in Salina, Kansas. My mom answers her cell phone, and of course I'm jamming out to like Coldplay, listening to the good stuff. My mom taps me on the shoulder. She's like, hey, I got some bad news to tell you. I was like, what are you talking about? What are you going to tell me? She's like, your Grandpa Walsh just died. And I was like, I just saw him the other day. He's not dead. And she's like, he just passed away 15 minutes ago. And that crushed me on the inside. And I didn't know how to react to it. So then after that, I got that sense of peace, just like he's with me now. It's okay. Everything's all right. I was like, all right, we're good. So I came to Grace, entered into Omaha on my birthday, and then came in and moved into Grace on the 15th. Met all my great friends, met a lot of friends on the basketball team, off the basketball team. I just really had a great time, meeting everybody. And, it was just really nice to see that. So then afterwards, I can honestly just say, that, being here has definitely transformed me as a person, in my faith, I'm just really happy to be here, and, you guys that can relate to this, that have like events like this going on in your life, you are not alone. There are people probably throughout this campus, throughout here that, have that, and, just be with one another, talk to one another. If you guys ever need to talk to anybody, Jeff Banks, Tara, they're amazing people to talk to. They'll help you walk you through it. If you ever need to talk, I'm available. So, just, follow the Lord all of your days. That's all I got to say. And thank you so much for letting me share my testimony with you guys.